to that, a lot of the issues that we are having now, we would not have. So the gentleman made a suggestion that the airport should be privatized. I think what should have happened next, as Grenadians, because the mentor government officials, it was a businessman making an independent suggestion to government in a way that he felt would benefit Grenadians, would benefit the tourism sector, and of course would benefit their business as well. Yes. Right? Because when somebody invests in Grenada, and that's something we're not accustomed to because most of us don't invest either. When somebody invests in something, it's not just because they have money that they want to spend and they're going to spend it. It is because they see an opportunity where they can receive dividends out of their investment. That is the main purpose of an investment. You put your money in so you can get something out of it.
You can get your money back plus.
Plus, exactly.
Yes.
You can get more money out of it. So I could not understand why individuals were so apprehensive, but then I sat and I thought of it, and I looked at the current climate where we are in currently, where people are not up for dialogue or open discussion or even intellectual discussion. We are not willing to open our minds beyond where we can see, or beyond, as you say, the tip of our noses. We are not able to look at things objectively, and we are not able to sit and dissect and comment, or we are not able to weigh the pros and cons of a situation. We act very much and very well on emotion. We are absolutely wonderful at saying, I feel like this will not work, but we cannot give a reason. We cannot give a rationale behind why we think it's not going to work, other than the fact that we feel that way. And I was waiting for you to bring it up, because I sat and I thought about it at length, and I was wondering this morning, should we really talk about this based on, it's a non-factor, because it's not something that government decided, okay, well, we're going to tell Suarez to say X, Y, Z, and then we're going to just introduce it to the public. It was never something like that. The gentleman was introducing his project, welcoming people, and so on, and the man made a statement, are we no longer free? So freedom of speech is only for some people. At some point in time, no one can make a valuable statement anymore. Nobody can make a suggestion or a recommendation anymore. As long as it offends the minds and emotions of people, it's no longer accepted. That's what I was thinking.
Well, you had a lot of thought from what you said, and there was so much in what you said. And while I tend to agree with 99.9% of what you said.
Tell me about the 1%.
The 0.01% is, it still boggles my mind as to whether that was the real reason. All of the reasons you give, whether the real reason for the uproar about the man's suggestion or statement was because we don't want to have intellectual discussions, is because we close our minds to suggestion, or we are not used to having some kind of dialogue, people no longer have freedom. I still wonder if those were the reasons. Or is it simply because there is a small group of people who has very, very loud mouths, who take to social media daily, who try to discredit the government and to try to implicate our prime minister and political leader on every single occasion they can get. And they felt that that was a time and a statement that they can use politically. Because to me, in trying to come to the realization of why should that be a topical issue, to me, well, I wouldn't say it's a non-issue. It's a suggestion. Maybe government may want to take it on board and look at the pros and cons. And if government is going to take it on board, I will suggest, or I would want to believe that government may set up a small committee of business-minded people to look at it. What could go wrong if we do so? What could be right if we do so? What can we benefit? What would we lose? How will it work out? Would it provide more jobs? Would it provide more economic benefit? Would it open up our country more? For example, look at Sandals Resort. From the time they ended up in Grenada, they started marketing for their business. Yeah. But Grenada as a whole benefit from the international marketing that Sandals Grenada is doing.
Yeah.
Right? So, would they, as the gentleman suggests, be able to put in more comfortable accommodation for passengers leaving or coming into the airport? Will they be able to attract more flights from other parts of the world that we don't have coming to Grenada presently. All of those things I would believe, even if government wanted, and I'm not saying they are, because no government official has made a comment on the suggestion made by the gentleman. Right? But my wonder, really, Ms. Duncan, is it because our minds are closed to discussion on issues?
Exactly.
Or is it because we are afraid that venturing out there and change?
Afraid of positive
is it
change.
all of that? Or is it because, as I was saying, there are just a few people that is hell bent on making confusion, on creating a scenario of distrust, of making the Grenadian public feel and believe that the new National Party is about to sell out Grenada, to give it away to... And also, in that conversation, the gentleman from his utterances never said that you should give it to me. Exactly. Or I should be the private person or partner. He just suggested that maybe it is something
privatization should happen,
that government should consider.
Yeah.
And it has happened in many places. I mean, let's do as such. There are so many airports around the world that are run, that are operated, owned by the government, but operated by a company or a private sector business, and government gets their dividends or the rental or whatever, what have you. Government don't have to put in money. There are models that we can look at. And in saying all of that, it doesn't say that the government is even considering. It's a suggestion. So my thing is, why did it have such a loud outburst? Discussion I can understand, because people have a right, if they hear something, to discuss it.
But we do not like to, you see, and that's the problem. I know we were going to get to this place at some point, We are at a stage right now where people don't know how to discuss. They don't know how to engage themselves in an intellectual conversation. Don't mean you have to be speaking with big words at a high level. It means that you are able to sit down and objectively pull apart a situation, look at the pros and cons, and have an adult discussion about what this could mean for your country.
So what is an adult discussion?
An adult discussion is well, I can't even say adult discussion, because right now children having better discussions than us.
So then don't say that.
and have a mature discussion.
That sounds better.
A mature discussion on what we think this will mean for our country, because it's just a suggestion. I mean, it's as if we are saying at this point that just leave Grenada the exact way it is. Don't change anything.
Well, there's a group of people that would love to see Grenada,
happen.
but not just stay how it is, but to degenerate. To get worse than it is now, where people could no longer find jobs, where planes stop flying, come here. That is why when the airport authorities came up saying, look, because of the time we're in, the pandemic and what have you, we are not able to sustain ourselves financially. We are losing money, as a matter of fact, because we don't have the regularity of flights that we used to have before. The number of passengers going in and out of Grenada utilizing the airport has decreased by more than 50%. So we have an operational cost that is about $1 million per month that we don't collect. And government say, well, we'll have to help you. The airport is too vital, it's too important an asset to us as a country to allow you to go into closure.
But furthermore, Mr. Bola, we are not thinking as patriotic Grenadians. Let's take, for example, when Annandale Falls was being when they decided that they were going to lease Annandale Falls to the private sector so that it can be developed.
It was going to be commercialized.
That's the word I was looking for. It just wasn't coming.
Because you're not a big wood person. You're talking about
a big wood person.
Oh yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Because you remember earlier on you were saying an intellectual conversation don't mean you have to be a big wood man or a woman.
Yeah, word. Said don't speak in your twang, please. People might misconstrue what you're trying to say.
Okay. Well, I'm saying that that she forget the word commercialization because it's a big word.
But the commercialization of Annadale, and there was so much talk around, they're selling it to the Chinese. And,
well, they said the Chinese bought it. They're not selling it again, they bought it.
They bought it and so on. Only to find out that it was a group, 3 young, and I must say, I know the individuals personally. We grew up together, and I'm very proud of what they have turned that place into. And it just goes to show that a little bit of investment into your own country can go a long way. But we are not willing as Grenadians to invest, nor are we willing to welcome investors to come into Grenada, to develop Grenada. I don't even think we understand what the development of our country means for us as a people and the advancements that it's going to make for us and for our children in the future. Now, if a group of Grenadians decided, okay, we have a private sector, we come in together as a cooperative and we feel like we can manage the airport better, we put a proposal towards government for private sector management. It does not mean that an American, Chinese, Russia, because those talks were started circulating as well, is going to come in and manage the airport. It could be a private individual Grenada.
He said private sector.
And not
could
only
mean
that,
a group of Grenadians.
it could be a private-public partnership.
Yes,
there
what
is
they call
also
PPP.
That, PPP.
Yeah.
So, you see, we are so quick to jump that we make ourselves sound so foolish in the process. And the fact of the matter is, while it might be a handful of people on social media making these ridiculous pronouncements, at the end of the day, people on social media in the international diaspora are not seeing it as, these 5 people or these 10 people or these 15 people. They are seeing it as Grenadians. Now, I do not want to be classed in that. I apologize, but I do not want to be classed in that. So we have to start as a people not just accepting these things for what it is, not just saying, it's just a handful of them with loud voices. Their voices are being heard, not just here in Grenada, but in the diaspora as well. You know, one of my friends on social media, this weekend, she posted something along the lines of, so are we going to just allow the devil to come and run rampant in Grenada? And I sat and I looked at that post and that post really touched me to the core. It gave me cold bumps because I was looking at the series of events that were taking place over the past few months, over the past year in Grenada. And it has gotten progressively worse to the point where we are very comfortable, Mr. Bola, very, very uncomfortably comfortable with negativity. We are very comfortable supporting a negative dialogue. We are very comfortable pushing propaganda. We are very comfortable with just accepting negativity as the new norm. And that is very frightening. And it should be frightening for all people involved, meaning Grenadians, young and old. Because guess what? I looked at a situation that occurred. And I said to myself, okay, as a young individual, we know that a representative is only there for 5 years until you vote them back into power. Even if
you're voting them into office. Yeah.
Even if, Mr. Bola, as a young individual, I wanted to say, well, let me give the young people a chance. I do not see any prospects that would come in here and make a real difference. And I say that because we have a group of young people that are very emotionally charged and aggressive. So something doesn't go their way and they are angry about it. They do not care what the reasoning behind it is. They do not look for other alternatives. They just vex and they're angry about it and they show it. Right? They are very temperamental. That's the word I'm looking for. Temperamental.
Yes, man. So big word again.
So you step on their toe, and before you could say sorry, they're ready to attack. And I find that very, 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 very sad and very troubling. Because when you get into office, guess what? It will just get worse. When you get into office, it does not get easier. People don't just automatically respect you because your name is honorable this and honorable that. You have to earn that, not just from the locals, but from the international community. And I always say that social media is your carbon footprint. Not your carbon footprint. It leaves a footprint, basically. So at the end of the day, whatever you put into social media is what people pull out of you. It is part of your character. They judge you based on that. So you are wondering to yourself later down the line, Lord, I wonder why I ain't get this job, or Lord, I wonder why this and I wonder why that. It is because of what you put out. You think somebody is going to want to employ you when every day you're on social media just cussing and getting on and making a certain noise, or when every post that you put into social media is a negative post, or when all that you can do is identify problems and not once ever give a solution. You think any business would want you? You're not valuable. You know, and
to
that
them,
is
you're
to
not
them.
valuable, yeah, to
And
them.
these are the things that as young people we need to start to consider. We need to stop being so hot-headed and so temperamental, and sometimes just sit down and be quiet, observe, and try to provide resolutions.
Do analytical thinking.
Thinking.
Analyze what is being said. Why would the man suggest that? Why would Mr. Soares suggest?
And what does that mean for us?
Is there something he is seeing as a businessman that we have not seen yet? Is there purpose in his suggestion? Why don't I call up two of my friends that I know are good in business and say, let's look into this thing and let's see what are the possibilities here. Who else can we contact? Who in banking? Who in financing that we can look at? What kind of a turnover does the airport do annually? What more can they do? Where are the room for improvement? What can we, if we approach the government, put into a proposal that would get government to start thinking? How can it benefit us as the investors and benefit the country in the long run?
Yes.
What other business models can we use? You know, all of those things. That's what we should get thinking, rather than jump into the government ready to give us the airport and making people feel that all who sits there as cabinet ministers are just grabbers who have no thought process, who doesn't have a brain in the head, who can't think about anything. Come on. I mean, we really allow our emotions to take control of us and don't use our intellect at all.
We have been very emotionally charged, Mr. Bola, in these past few weeks, and it's very concerning. As a Grenadian, Mr. Bola, it concerns me because I listen to a lot of young people, and I listen to the trend that they are taking, and I also look at and I also listen to a lot of the older persons in society, leaders, seniors who speak a lot about revolution and so on. Now, revolution does not always. Revolution means change. Let's just start there. Revolution means change. Now, how you plan to go through that revolution is up to you. It can be violent, it can be aggressive, it can be a silent revolution.
Very passive, non-violent.
Exactly. Now, the kind of revolution that I hear these young people talking about is the kind of revolution that they thought was happening back in 1984 with guns and so on. Mr. Bola, it is said that a people who do not understand their history is doomed to repeat it. And that is exactly what is happening with our young people right now. They are just hearing bits and pieces of what the revolution did, not understanding what the whole core of the revolution was meant to be, what some of the positive things that came out of the revolution are. But they heard about the guns, they heard about the fighting, they heard about the protests, and to them that feels good, that resonates well with them, and that is disturbing.
Also what created, what was there before the revolution?
What was the driving force?
The driving force behind it. Was it for good reason, for bad reason? Was it at the time? Was it something that was necessary? Or there are so many unknowns when you're taking up a position. You need to try as much as possible, and I am not saying that you would gather all the information, but there must be sufficient information to give you a conviction that you are on the right track. You are doing the correct thing.
And is that really the track that we want to follow? Now,
is that what is needed now, Walter?
Is that what is necessary? Exactly. I'm looking at situations that are occurring, and I'm going to bring it up because I know it's a topic that everybody wants to hear about. Over the weekend, the leader of the Grenada Union of Teachers was asked to report to the St. David's police station. He was not arrested. He was not detained. He was not charged. They didn't come and take him out of his house like people were saying. He was asked to report. Now, when we listen to the police, and that's why I always say emotional reactions, and I realize we didn't have shame no more. Ain't no such thing as shame again. We wrong and we ain't care.
Like our foreparents said, we wrong and we right.
We wrong and we right. We ain't care again. We just saying what we want to say, and we find that even if we wrong, we still right. We vex and
lack of discipline and responsibility. We must be more responsible.
Absolutely. So the leader of the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers was brought in for questioning. Now, nobody knows why he was brought in for questioning. Everybody jump up on the fact that, oh, well, they're trying to arrest them and intimidate them. And okay, fine. That is your opinion. You shared it. Great. The police gave their side of what occurred. Apparently, they had protest action and were planning some protest action as well, and did not ask for permission. Now, based on the protocols, because we have to still remember we are in the midst of a pandemic. I feel like...
But secondly, before, not just the pandemic, but we are also still under a state of emergency. And when you are in a state of emergency, and as educators, they should know that the police really have then more powers than normal ordinary times. So you must communicate with them.
But further from that, Mr. Bola, the police at any given time with suspicion of a crime can ask you to come in for questioning.
Yes, that is their right.
I do not know if that has changed since 2020. Apparently 2020 is a year of change, so everything that happened before 2020 no longer applies, and everything else that happened during 2020 and after is the new norm. It's what is being accepted. Now, I do not see what all this nonsense and racketeering was about, because the gentleman was asked to report to the police station for questioning. They don't arrest him. He went of his own free will, and as far as I understand, he was told that he could leave at any given time, right? What was the protest action in front of the police station for? And from what I understand, it was one of his own union fellow union leaders that reported him to the police. Mr. Bola, if I'm wrong, God forgive me, but that is what I heard. I'm saying it, I'm selling it just how I buy it.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't sell it how you buy it.
I got it from very good source.
If you think that the sources you got it from are good and reliable, say, well, I got it from sources.
I got it from good, reliable sources.
That cause me to believe or give me the conviction that what I'm saying is factual. Because, listen, I want to take you up on that just for a moment or two. Don't lose your trend of talk.
Go ahead.
We cannot speak to people about verification of facts.
And sell it how we buy it.
No. We cannot be double standard.
I got it from a very reliable source.
You still have in you the desire to think, well, who told me should be factual, but I'm still not 100% sure. Okay. No, I can accept you saying I got that information from fairly reliable sources. I still have my doubt, but this is what I was told. No, that's something better. But when you tell me you're selling or you buy, me and you, we gain away bad today.
I got it from a source that is expected to be very reliable. And God forgive me if the source is incorrect. But that is what was told to me, that the individual was reported, and he was not reported on the basis of prior protest, but one that was in the process of being planned.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Bola, that brings into question an even more troubling question. Was this all part of a plan?
I wonder myself.
Was it all part of a plan? How is it that we could mobilize people so quick quickly within such a short space of time to go in front of the police station and protest and make it seem as if some victimization or injustice is being done to someone as a result of exercising of their rights.
And to even drag the office of the Prime Minister into such disrepute.
And exactly.
To go as far as to say that it is the Prime Minister's wish that is being followed to have the gentleman arrested.
Now, you see, and that's why I say sometimes we have to sit and think logically and not act on emotion. Now, this individual is asked to go to the police station for questioning. They never said they arrested him. But yet still, he gathered his troops and made such a bold and bright statement in front of the police station as if he were addressing his soldiers. Now, anybody who does not want to look deeper into that, I am sorry for you. But I cannot look at that just on the surface like that. These kind of activities, Mr. Bola, frighten me because I understand my history. I know where we came from. I know what we have been through. I may not have experienced it, but I've researched enough to understand trends, to understand people who have been through it and have not yet gotten over it. So you look at them and you see things that they do still replicate that of what happened in the revolution. And we have to be careful.
Very much so. Very, very much so. And as leaders, as the people who continue to impart knowledge and expect to groom and build character in our young people, we have to be careful how we act. We cannot, and we should not, create these kind of scenarios where people's name are dragged into the mud and give false impression. So it is the right of the police in the execution of their duties. If they are investigating any particular issue, if there's if they have a report of something that happened or something that is about to happen, something that is being planned, and in their minds, as law enforcement officers, they believe that they can diffuse a potential a situation that can lead to some sort of disturbance. Mm-hmm. It is their right in the execution of their duty to ask any one of us. It could be me, it could be you, it could be anybody whom the information may lead them to believe have a hand in the planning or in the execution of something, and they can ask you kindly to come in, or they can bring you in and interrogate you, question you, ask you what you know, what you're planning, and things like that, which is what I understood happened to the leader, or with the leader of the Grenada Union of Teachers. He was brought in, he was interrogated for a while, and allowed to leave. As a matter of fact, from my understanding is that the police never touched him. They went to his home and informed him that they would like to question him or have that interrogation with him, and asked that he follow them to the police station, which I understand from his own utterances he did. Yes. He followed them in there. So, if that is the case, now I don't know the questions they asked him. I wasn't privy to that. I don't know if he was threatened. I wasn't in there. But from his own utterances, he went there willingly. Yes. Being asked by the police, he went in. He was questioned. He was never handcuffed. He was never locked in a cell. He was questioned, whatever the line of questioning was, or why, the police alone will be able to say, because they are the one that are being tasked with the responsibility. And just last week, I remember we spoke about an incident that happened in Riversali a couple Fridays ago, where when the police, in the process of functioning, in the process of executing their duties, that the crowd that they were trying to disperse after it was 12 o'clock in the night, after the curfew hour were implemented or came into effect, that people threw missiles, bottles and stones and so at them, and 3 police officers got injured and had to receive treatment at the Princess Alice Hospital. And we spoke here, and I did say that we need to respect the police much more. We need them. We only recognize their value when we ourselves or our family members are being placed in a compromising position, and we feel the police must now come and take charge and deal with the issue for us. But once it is not a case like that, we feel we have a right to talk down on the police and abuse them as we wish. We feel that they are our knobs on the draft board and we can push them around as we feel. So if in the execution of the duties of the police, they ask the gentleman to come in. Now, I will understand if the gentleman was brought into the station and the police abused him, they beat him, they lock him up in a cell without
or even if he was
charge.
Taken from his home forcefully. Let's start
Right,
there.
taken from his home forcefully. They didn't have a charge, they didn't have a reason. All they did, which is part of their responsibility. So sometimes we are too quick to let our emotions take charge.
Mr. Paul, I wanna just sidetrack from that, and we'll come back to it. You know, I had a very interesting conversation with someone over the weekend, and they brought to my attention something that I think needs to be brought to the minds of other people. Now, we speak about protest, we speak about standing up for our rights, we speak about the right to be able to do these things. Now, and this conversation was a very emotional one, because you know, when I speak about children, it's a special topic for me. It holds a special place. And you know what he said to me? He said, what we are not looking at is the fact that for the first time ever, our children have been locked down for an extended period of time. For the first time ever, they have been exposed to domestic abuse. They have been exposed to partner relationship abuse. They have been exposed to emotional abuse. They have been exposed to sexual abuse. They have been exposed to physical abuse. The one place that these children can go to get away from all of that is at school, where they could meet with their friends, where they hope to speak with their teacher, where they hope someone can identify their problems, where they hope that this leader, this person that they look up to, because if you ask any child, nobody more right than their teacher. You can't give a child something and come home with, and mommy say, never happen. It's always missy. That they look up to, or so say, that they look up to, and they go back into the schoolhouse to meet this. We are not looking at the fact that for the first time ever, our children are going through all of these challenges and still being victimized. And I want to say victimized because in all of this, they are the victims. They are the ones being preyed on. They are the ones being used in this agenda, in this fight for more money. However it turns out, they are the ones being used. They are becoming pawns in this game. So they had to fight up at home and they had to fight up at school. And where is the rest for these children? Where is the emotional support and that scaffolding that some of these children are going to need? If we're not careful, we're damaging these children more than anything else, you know. Imagine I go through so much at home and me and my teacher, we good, so I know I could go to her and I could talk to her, and I go to school and my teacher come tell me some nonsense about silent teaching.
No talk day.
Polar.
No talk day. Don't tell me nothing. I don't answer you.
To realize the damage that we are doing. And let's talk protest, fine. Why is it that every time you hear something about a protest and a march that involves the Grenada Union of Teachers, it had to do with money? Why can't it be a march against sexual abuse where we have a rise in the amount of cases of child sexual abuse with children as young as the age of 8? In some cases, months old. Why we not marching in the streets for that? Why we not advocating for change? Why we not seeing those what they call themselves, activists, Is politics alone that can have activists? Only when something is a political issue, it becomes an activist
But
issue.
these are all political issues. The issue of sexual and other abuse to our children is a political issue. It's an issue that the politicians and want to be politicians and will be politicians should take up as a project. They are all political issues. But you see, some people are overly focused on an individual. And to destroy the name of an individual and to see if they can restrict the ability of that individual to bring about change, positive ones, so I should say. So their minds get very clouded and the views become myopic.
Yep.
They can't see all of the big pictures in front of them, all of the things that need addressing, all of the things that we need to come together, putting aside our differences and for the betterment of our children and the Grenadian public at large to fight together side by side for.
And that is the problem. We do not fight for the things or together for the things that need fighting for. And that everything has to be contentious.
Yeah, it's always us against them.
It has to be a back and forth. It's always activists against government and
us against them. This one against that one. That grouping against the other.
Why are we not doing more to make or to enact positive change, to make a big difference on the things that can be changed now if we speak up hard enough? Why is it that we are about right now is getting NNP out of office, and as soon as NNP out of office, all the problems that surround us as
it will evaporate.
It
will evaporate because NNP is like water. So once you push it out, there'd be no more rain. You evaporate all the problems, and it's not going to happen.
This thing is so upsetting because it's a very terrible norm, and I would hope that as young people, this was my hope for young people, Mr. Bola. I would never get into politics. It ain't gonna happen. It would never ever happen. But what I'm saying is, for those who want to get into politics,
into frontline politics, because you are into politics, everything that happens in our lives on a daily basis have some connection.
Yes.
It's interrelated, it's entwined with the politics of the day.
Absolutely.
Every single thing. The road condition, we blame the politician. We ain't get paid on time, we blame the politician. You go to the health center and the nurse talk to you rough, the politician get blamed. You know, the police arrest or ask somebody to come in for questioning is the politician. People then receive the 4%, the politician. A man make a suggestion about a business idea, the politician.
You know,
every single thing rests at the doorstep of the politician. And we must become more independent thinkers. We must come up with valuable suggestions. Of course, the politicians are important to us. And I will never advocate that they should not be politicians. I will never advocate that younger people should not get involved in frontline politics. But I think there needs to be a change. There needs to be a quantum leap. Our people must come to the realization that whether good or bad comes to our country, it will hurt or benefit every single one of us. And it doesn't matter who is in charge. It doesn't matter who holds the reign of superiority as a political party in the country at any one given time. The fact is, if there's something that I can do independently, individually, or as a grouping from wherever we are that can bring a brighter day to Grenada, we should. Because at the end of it all, the politician of the day will go. But the deeds that we do, once it's going to benefit our people, would remain. Or the damage that we do to our people would last for, in some instances, for a lifetime.
You know, recently a teacher was convicted, I think a sentence 5 years or something of the sort, for sexual assault of a student, a minor. Where was the marching? Where was the noise? Where were the drums and the trumpets? Where was the carnival-like activity in support of that student whose life is now forever changed because one of your membership? Where was the union leader to make a statement to denounce this kind of behavior among his membership? Where was he then? You know, and these are the things that upset me. These are the things that rile me up. Nobody is saying that they don't have a right to protest for whatever they feel is important. But guess what? It shows us what they think is important. It shows us what takes precedence and priority in their minds. When you have so many children struggling day to day to day to day, up to this very moment, you have children struggling. They had a struggle with physical abuse. They had a struggle with sexual abuse. They had a struggle with COVID. They had a struggle with teachers now coming to school when, you know, they ain't have sick out or leaving school early because they had to go and march for 4%, or coming to school and not speaking to them because they are in some kind of industrial action. And not saying that they're not supposed to fight for their rights, but who is fighting for the children? And then you have parents jumping up in that nonsense as if we feel it's okay. It is not okay. It is not okay. My child's mental and emotional health is worth more than 4%. It has to be worth more than 4%. So as a parent, it cannot be okay for that for me to just be comfortable with that and say, well, government just give them the money and it go stop. And then when it stops, who deals with the issues that has arisen as a result of it? Who deals with the emotional stress and strain that my child has been put under? Who deals with that after? Sometimes we look at things too basic. We look at it and we say, okay, it's just 4%, give them the 4% and they go stop make noise.
But we always look at the small frame, eh? So we see a small picture.
Yes, but when
you extend the frame, when you open up the lens of the camera,
you see
then you see all the picture behind it, all of the effects
that was hidden by the frame.
By the frame, yeah.
You know, and it's funny, Mr. Bola, when all of these things are over and the teachers go back into the classroom in full and try to get the children to get in tune with what they have lost. Refocus. When that happens, we're going to still have those ills in society that we are not speaking up enough against. As mothers, me, big hardback mother of girl children, studying to jump up in 4%. When you have, how much was 60-something cases of child molestation, sexual abuse of children under the age of 8? I mean, come on.
Your back hard?
Yes, my back hard. My daughter is 12. I could say big hard back.
I never knew. You know what? I hear that you're getting a little hot.
Yes,
the air conditioning here can't cool you down. Let's open up the lines. Let us open up the lines, because I think there may be people out there who have their own thought process, who may want to share. Some may agree with what we are speaking about this morning. Some may even disagree with what we're saying. Mm-hmm. Some may support, some may not. But we want to say to people, it doesn't matter what your trend of thought is. It's a discussion. We like to hear you.
Absolutely.
You know? So please give us a call.
The number to call is 440-7377 if you're calling locally. If you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101. You can also send us a message via WhatsApp or give us a call. And there are a few messages on the live video stream that I want to start sharing with the general public. Someone is saying here, yes, Mr. Bola, these people feel only certain persons should be called in for questioning. Some of these teachers feel the gentleman is too big to be questioned. Lord help our children. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, I'm listening to your program.
Yes.
And it brings me back to those days before the revolution. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they build up to the revolution. Mm-hmm. Build up to 1979.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When the children were being used, Black Stallion said they were using the little children as guns. Mm-hmm. So they used the children to get at the government, to pull down the government. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I'd like to say though, they got through. They were successful in overthrowing the government in 1979. However, those folks that were in charge of the revolution, those that overthrew the government, we saw what happened to them finally. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened to them finally. Morris Bishop, he lost his head. Okay? He was killed.
Yes.
By the same people who were supporting him and everything else. I don't think they want to go back there. But a lot of the fellas who are organized the revolution for 79. A lot of them who were involved in the revolution in 79, they were given permission to travel. Because I think the United States preferred to have them out of the country than they being in the country to create problems. So they're given permission to travel to the United States. No, they have been out there and they work and things like that. But Grenada is so nice, they want to come back home now. And those returning, those that are vying to return, those former revolutionaries, they are trying to see what they could do now again. And you have some people here who knew what they went through. We suffered a lot under the revolution.
Yep.
And you could hear them calling for revolution. Those that never saw the revolution, doesn't know what happened then, they're calling for revolution. Oh my God. So ridiculous. I know what happened. I went through it. So I went through it. I know it's a nasty thing. Those that were involved, they were killed. Maurice Bishop lost his head. Okay? Maurice Bishop lost his head. He thought he was doing the best thing. In Grenada, it was like hot bread and butter, you said? The revolution was like that. But afterwards, when we felt it, when we really felt it, Eric Gary was the best thing ever. There was nothing like dictatorship with Eric Gary when we compared it to that of the leadership of the revolution. That of the leadership of the revolution was what we knew as dictatorship then, because we couldn't do anything that we wanted to do. The guns was at us. Okay?
Yep.
And I think we need to educate people as to what really took place during the revolution.
Yep.
And what the fellows are trying now, most of the teachers here, they were not experienced with the revolution. They've heard about it, and they're trying to try something. Those folks that were involved in the United States, I think they're trying to fund uprising in Grenada, like what they do in the United States, what they see happening in the United States that they couldn't take part in the United States. They're trying to do it in Grenada because they couldn't take part in those protests in America,
right?
Because they have to be hiding somewhere. But now they think that what is happening in the United States, Donald Trump and his rhetoric, they can bring it and feed it to us. I think we need to do better on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. We seem to have another call,
Yeah,
yes.
we do. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, ma'am. And I'm just calling in reference to some of the things that you was expressing on your program this morning.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, now, the revolution may have ended in a bad way, right? But the Grenada Revolution was a necessity to Grenadians at the time. And Roland, if you would remember, Roland, the sort of things that was going on in the 70s.
Yeah, I was young still, but I remember some of them.
Roland, you knew what was going on, because I know for a fact you and KB and Buck and them. I don't know if you remember those days.
I think you're mixing me up here, because I have an uncle that was with the KB and the Buck and them, who was a bowler as well. But this one wasn't Roland Bowler. We look very
and
much alike.
that one ended up getting...
He was, yes, he was imprisoned and so. I was still a youngster.
Right.
Yep.
No, and I'm going to just tell you all this. No, you're talking about people being able to mobilize quickly. When the Monday we came from school, that was the 12th of March, 1979, Gary was on his way to Paul's Airport to leave Grenada. Okay? Morris Bishop and the NGM found out that Gary had left orders and instructions to execute all of them. So within a few hours, they were able to mobilize 50-something of them to overthrow the Gary regime. Okay? Now, what's going on in Grenada now is very, very, very reminiscent of what started happening in 1970. Now, when the nurses demonstrated in 1970 for better conditions at the hospital, 13 of them was fired. And I'm not asking you those things. I'm telling you those things because they are facts. In 71 and 72, there was beatings, shootings. Gary had what they call a night ambush squad. As a young man, my grandmother's house was searched every day by Gary police officers. On the 28th of April, 1973, Jeremiah Richardson was shot in Grenville, close to Bowler's shop in Grenville, across from Lalby Harrison Lumberyard. Those of you who might know what I'm talking about. On the 23rd of April, 1973, demonstrators were shot down on Pearls Airport. There were guys like Mr. Lindsay, Rupert Lindsay. You have Giddel and Sylvester Tate. Giddel lost I think he lost his right eye. Then he also had guys like Nelson Victor that got shot down for demonstrating. Roy Gordon, George Vincent, and another guy from River Sally named, I think it's Vernon Simon.
Yeah, Vernon Simon.
On the 18th, right. Now, on the 18th of November, 1973, I was standing by the Deluxe Cinema in Grenville when Morris Bishop and the others came to hold a meeting in the cinema in Grenville. And there's a person in Grenville that called Innocent Belma and tell Innocent Belma that look at the boys are getting together by the cinema in Grenville. Somebody got a message to them and they left and went down by Sea Haven Restaurant in the car park in Grenville. When Belma left the police station and went over to start beating them up, they ran over to Bowler Place. So those things that's happening in Grenada is things that a lot of Grenadians have seen before. Alistair Hughes was assaulted. Leonard Grenade was assaulted in Mount Royal by Gary. And that is where we don't want to go back to. We do not want to repeat this kind of history in Grenada. So we have to be mindful that Grenadians are very strong people. Remember, Grenadians are the sons and daughters of Julian Fedor. And we have to respect Grenadians. And we have to take care of each other. We cannot be going back to those things and everything, foreign people coming from wherever they come out and trampling on Grenadians. We have to stop this foolishness. We have to be a bit more ethnocentric.
Is that happening now? Foreign people trampling on?
You know, of course. Because, for example, right, Roland, you telling me that in Grenada, there is nobody in Grenada could run your tourist industry? You have to bring people from Barbados?
But
look at Albanian street Grenadians.
But that's
no.
no.
Let's not go down that road. Let's not go down that road. You're a Grenadian. Hold on 1 minute. I give you a chance to talk. You are a Grenadian, aren't you?
Hey, I'm a proud Grenadian.
Good.
For a lot of years.
But you're not living in Grenada, are you? You're not living in Grenada at the moment, are you?
No.
Okay.
I left Grenada in the 70s.
Right, but wherever you live, you work, you strive, and you survive.
No, I'm no longer working. I'm retired.
You're retired, okay. But we can safely say for the better part of your life, you worked outside of Grenada. Is that going to be true if we make that statement?
All right, go ahead. I'm going to give you that.
No, I'm asking you. Is that going to be true?
Yeah.
Right. So let us not degenerate the issue about somebody that is not of Grenadian nationality working in Grenada, because the applications was open up to anybody who wants to apply. Was there a Grenadian with the qualification that applied and was denied? Do you know that?
I heard that.
But did you verify that that is true? That there's a qualified Grenadian that when the advert was out there, applied to get the position and was denied that position? I don't think so.
Okay, so I understand, but what I'm looking at, right?
Yes, let me hear what you're looking at.
Our economy is not an economy that is not a macro economy. We have a very micro economy.
Agreed,
right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you have a micro economy, you have to retain people within the constraints of your local nucleus.
Mm-hmm.
To fill the voids, and you have to train people.
Yes.
To deliver the products that would help your economy to grow.
Agree.
Those of us that have left Grenada, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I left Grenada, the population was 90,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay? The current population now is what, 112,000 people?
Thereabout. Yeah, that's the last survey.
Now, every so-called first world country is able to absorb the influx of migrants. Grenada does not have that luxury.
I agree with you.
We are not economies of scale, and I'm not an economist, but we're not an economy of scale. We have a very minute economy, and in order for us to build our country, we have to nurture our economy.
Well, I agree with
GDP.
that 100%, but also we're forgetting the part that when people migrate and they repatriate income to the country, that also helps to build our economy. As a matter of fact, from our last survey that was done, about 30% of our GDP
31
was reliant on remittances. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it means for us as Grenadians that a lot of our people are outside of Grenada working in other economies and other countries. But I want to just zero in on that issue because there are some people, intelligent people there, who want to make it look as though that we are doing something so bad. Now, you made a point earlier on, and I don't know if you recognize that we have to train and retain. So in the meantime that you don't have a trained mind to manage a certain aspect of the economy, you have to get it from some way and during that period train. Now, I will agree with you and with anybody else. If we fail to recognize the need to put someone in place to support whoever we're bringing in, to learn from them and to allow them the space to get the academic acumen that they need to then be able to take over. Because remember, these people are on contract. They are not here in the position permanently. And sometimes we give an impression that Grenadians are looked down upon. And I don't believe that. I don't agree with that.
But you see, the thing is that how long would it take to provide the adequate training for a Grenadian to fill that position? Because look, subsequent to this current person, you had someone else from another country, right?
Yes, Abidjan as well. Abidjan as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought she was from Ireland or somewhere.
No, Abidjan.
But caller, this is only one position that we're zeroing in on. We have to remember that with the establishment of the CSME,
single economy,
it meant that Grenadians, and mind you, there are a lot of Grenadians
all over the Caribbean,
in all positions in the Caribbean that are filling positions that the locals in that place probably could have filled. Maybe there wasn't someone just in the same position as we are in now that could fill the position. Now we have to stop doing that, because at the end of the day, we all depend on each other as a Caribbean family, as a region. They didn't take somebody from the US. They didn't take somebody from Africa and
Asia.
Bring them in. They brought in someone from the Caribbean. And I don't see a problem with that, because we have Grenadians that migrate to the US for a better life to go and
Barbados,
work.
to Trinidad, and all them places.
Grenadians who go to Trinidad
right,
to
but
work.
as I'm saying, our base, I'm looking at the proportionate savings and costs, right?
But how would it be savings in cost? That's what I'm trying to understand.
If we don't have somebody to fill the position now.
But it is not as if, okay, we don't know for a fact, because that's what I think you're trying to zero in on, the fact that it would cost us more to bring someone into the position than to hire someone here. Now, we don't have somebody qualified to run the position
well,
here.
I don't know if we don't have a qualified person, but whether they had applied.
They didn't meet the
and
expectations
meet the requirements.
or the requirements. Now, bringing someone in does not necessarily mean that we are spending more, because guess what? That person may come with a select set of skills or a select set of qualities that the person here could not feel, that would be more beneficial to, let's say, GTA, because that's what we're speaking about. Then
have y'all ever done a comparative analysis to see that, okay, this person is hired and they're selling Grenada as a product, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can do what you can use historical data based on, let's say, the last 3 years or the last 5 years, seeing that you had the COVID-19 curveball in there. And you say, okay, the past 5 years, Grenada went with this amount. And now what is this person adding to our value?
That is
Have
what
we ever looked at these things?
that is what the
That's
board
what
of
we-
the tourism authority will tell us. Not
Right.
we don't have
to
that
do- they will
information
do
at
the
our
analysis
fingertips.
and
They are
tell
doing
us,
the analysis.
Right.
That's why the
what
people are
value
on
was added.
contract year by year. So they continue to analyze what are they bringing. Are they adding? Are they subtracting? Are we at the same level? That is what is happening.
Yeah.
So they're on contract.
You see, we have to be careful when we make these kind of pronouncements and judgments because we have Grenadians all over the world who have migrated and work there. So
And has excelled.
That's
and has
okay.
excelled. And we cannot say that we should not bring in people from overseas or even from our Caribbean neighboring countries to work within Grenada if someone here does not meet the qualification or the criteria that they're looking for to fill the position. I don't think that's a fair enough statement considering the fact that there are so many Grenadians out there working. It's really not
All right,
a fair
and that's
statement.
understandable. But as I said before, that these economies, we're not the same level of economic stature as the United States, as Great Britain, as Canada, or even Trinidad. So when we're looking at the economy, I'm looking at the economy. I'm not looking at anything else. Economically, my personal opinion is not beneficial, but I do appreciate the fact that they're considering people from the Caribbean.
Okay.
Okay, but
All right.
Grenadians have migrated for many years, but those economies can absolve. They can actually soak up the amount of migrant. They could soak up the entire island of Grenada.
We agree. But do you
Okay.
also know, living in the United States, that the great industrial revolution that the United States went through and has caused them to become a first world country and a first world economy, that they depended on foreign labor to get them to
still
that
do
stage?
today.
They still do today.
They
So
they still do today because
in other words, it meant that they had to get the brain, the technology, the techniques, the know-how from people outside of the United States, not necessarily native USA people, to get them to where they are. We may just be going through that phase in Grenada, and I am not saying that all our positions must be taken up by foreign people or people without a Grenadian background or Grenadian nationality, but there is wisdom in some areas to allow some people to come in, bring in their experience, bring in their knowledge, and we learn from them. The Chinese did not become how they are today all by themselves, you know. They allowed foreign companies to come in with all the technology, all the skills, and place some of the most educated people to work for pittance a day, only to learn and to
the China model was something that the Chinese stole from a lot of people, but we're not going to get into that.
Not now. We don't have the time. We can't.
Right. But the other thing I would like to just drop a bug in y'all air about, be very mindful that Grenadians are not ethnocentric enough. That means that we do not believe in ourselves enough. And we need to start believing in ourselves a little more. And we do not need to privatize our international airport. Our international airport is staged in heraldry for the ordinary Grenadian. And that is something that the ordinary Grenadians see as a marker of development on the island.
Let me ask you this, caller. What is your understanding of the privatization of the international airport? Or the privatization of anything, really? What do you understand by it?
Now, I know that private entities, because I own a company here in the United States, and I know that private entities brings in a lot in terms of innovation and in terms of development. However, as I'm saying again, our economy is too small.
No, but what
and
is
we
your
need to be able to manage.
understanding of privatization? That's what I'm asking.
He just said something there that I want to ask him a follow-up question before you come in. You know that private companies bring in innovation, bring in whatever. Are you saying innovation is not good enough for us in Grenada?
Innovation is good enough for us in Grenada, but at the same time, if you want to talk about the China model, you think China is going to privatize one of their industries?
No. That's not what I mentioned. When I talk about the China model, I say a lot of the technology that China has is because they allowed companies to come in first and foremost and learn and steal the technology. I'm not saying that they're going to sell it
it's
to us.
It's called Americans outsourcing.
Well, whatever it's called, but they allow them to come
because
in.
capitalism was able to manipulate that.
And they built upon what they learned, what those who come in. And just to go back a little bit, and maybe we have to give other, because the phone lines are running red. A lot of other people want to call, so we'd have to give others a chance. But here's what.
Okay, so
no one said, the government never said they was privatizing the airport, It was a suggestion made by an investor. He suggested that the government probably may want to look into that.
But further from the suggestion, I think we do not understand what privatization means. It does not mean that the airport would be sold into private hands, It could simply mean that government.
But privatization means you're selling it out. That's commercialization.
Commercialization.
That's what they want to do. Commercialization.
But we have to understand what it means and weigh the pros and the cons. Not because we feel it must be what did he say it was?
Well, it's sacrosanct to Grenadians, and we shouldn't think.
Exactly, because it still has to run, it still has to bring in revenue, and if it is not being profitable enough,
but perception can mimic intent.
Well, we understand that. But someone just made a suggestion, and people just took it up and run with it.
And a lot of times it's a dichotomy, but I do appreciate the time that you have allotted me, and I just want to say that Grenada is still a beautiful place, and let's keep it beautiful. And the revolution thing, we don't need it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate your comments. And feel free at any time. Like we say, you don't always have to agree with us. Go ahead.
I can find you, Roland. I can find you.
All right.
Don't worry.
Good man. Take good care, thank you again for that.
Okay.
Yeah, dialogue is very important. It does bring out a lot, and it helps to educate a lot as well. We have a comment.
You have a lot of comments.
Let me see where I can start.
I'm running out of time quickly.
Very quickly. They will try to damage the individual, but they are making a big mistake. They ain't want to see NNP. They better get used to see who is best for our country, because I ain't see no alternative in the near future. My personal opinion. That's what the individual is saying. There's another comment here that reads, you had no freedom of speech. You have to peep outside to see who's outside before you can speak in your house. And I am assuming that person is speaking about the revolution. You see, we Mr. Bola, it is very, very interesting it would be very interesting to sit in a forum with young people and get what their understanding of what the revolution was. I don't think something like that has ever happened. If it has, I've never been privy to it, but it would be very interesting to try and find out what young people ascertain from what the revolution was. Do they just see it as guns and fighting, assassination, invasion? Or do they know what the intricate details of the revolution contained? That would be interesting to find out. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Duncan. Good morning,
Yes,
Mr. Bola.
morning.
Hi, morning.
Yeah, Mr. Bola, I look at a trend. People who should be leaders and leaders of good example. They were leaders that they are called educators, leading and young people. And one of the things that I look at, some of the leaders, they are parents, they are fathers, they are wives. And whenever you have a problem in a home, the best solution is to sit around the table with the family and work it out. Because you see, when you have children who look upon you as to lead them and to guide them in the right direction, and you're doing the opposite, doing what is negative, the children will follow suit. Right? Because they follow you. Because some parents in the home, you see teachers playing the role of the parent. Because some of the parents home, they don't care. Some of them don't care about their children. They send them to school, and they go to school, and they see where son or daughter, you have homework, they just lay in a room all over the place. Only when they return back to school, teachers say, you did the homework? I say, no, miss. I didn't tell mommy nothing about it. So when a child come from school, you should make sure that he has homework to do. Yeah, he has homework to do. Because see, one of the things that we parents had to not only buying the books and buying the uniform for children to go to school, but we have to make sure when they come to school that they have homework, question them, and find out if the homework and make them do the homework. Because one of the things is when you see leaders, I always say, want to take the street to things. I ask myself a question. Is this what they are doing at the home? They have a problem with the wife or with the children. They take it on the street. And I see that. If that happens, then I will call yourself a leader. Because a leader is someone should be lead by example and a right example and right example. You sit down with the spouse, the husband, the boyfriend, a home with the family, and you try to solve the problem. But every time that you have something with someone, you take into the street. I don't see that as something that is good. That is good. So I do believe leaders have to set a good example. And so many times, Ms. Duncan, Mr. Bola, people quick to run in, give judgment. Something happened. It's like the case with the union teachers leader, right? Nobody know. He didn't see what the post called the workers. He didn't know why. Right? They ask you to report. Report. Right? They make a report and they request and they ask you a question. Right? And you go back. So I don't see the same way you have to call people to come and demonstrate and pass judgment and say what the prime minister this or that want to stifle the union workers or the public workers union from somewhere and demonstrate. Because when you look what happened under the government, this government never jail any union leaders. The only time I know a union leader get jailed is in 2008 to 2013, which is a Humphrey when he was fighting for the right of the workers at Berries. And he was jailed because I remember Chester say he worked so hard for he to get the government into office. And look what they done to him. Look what they did to him. Right? It is a right to strike. But then everything has a limit. And you're doing something, you have to do it in the right way. Nobody can go on the street and strike. You must get information. You must get okay from the police to do it. Right? And I always say Mr. Duncan, Mr. Bola, even though something will happen, like a man planning to shoot Mr. Bola, Mr. Duncan, and you know that I know Mr. Bola nothing. I say you're also guilty as the person who want to commit the crime. Mm-hmm. Because you know. So if we report it to Mr. Bola, that could save Mr. Bola life. So the person who made that comment, they did the right thing. Because sometimes by them going to watch it, you're going to know what could happen. Right? So I'm going to call upon leaders, parents, the same teachers the same workers going to help them go and demonstrate it. Look at the children. They go to school, silent night, silent day at school.
Silent night.
Look at again. Some of the children have to stay home. And even when they go to school, teachers are on the street, they demonstrating. Some of you all again were walking, they home. Right? You're unemployed. It's government still paying for you, giving you a salary. So I don't believe, let's put politics aside. I don't politics everything Mr. Bola said. But sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture. Right? Look at green. Let us put the country first and not party first. Party will go, but the country will always remain there. And let us work together for the peace and stability of creating Carriacou and Peter Martin. I Ms. Duncan, Mr. Bola, I remember in 2008 to 2013, there was a Belgian walking in, I think, Ministry of Finance, energy.
In charge of energy, of course.
Energy Department.
Yep.
Mr. Steely.
Yep.
I'm hardly happy when he's talking about
No, they
that.
don't remember that. They pretend they forget.
Yep. Before you want to talk, you must also remember what was there before you want to comment. So, Mr. Bola, Ms. Duncan, you all have a wonderful day.
You as well. Take good care. Yep.
We remember only conveniently. Selective memory.
Yep. Some of us do have that, so you can't blame them.
Selective memory. Guys, the lines are open. I know a few people were calling before, couldn't get through. The lines are open. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're hearing you. Good morning. Morning.
Bola and Miss Duncan.
Yes.
I had to wait forever.
Sorry about that.
I had to wait eternally. yeah, so what should I start off? Well, I've heard many callers before the last caller.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, whereas people have the right to their views, all of us have the right to our opinion and our views, but I don't necessarily agree with many of the sentiments shared before the last caller, because I think what happened is that sometimes we confuse issues, we model up things, and we try to draw parallels, or we make comparisons that are not really comparable. We try to compare incomparable things. And for example, like one of the persons, I think, if I remember well, that I think he was calling from overseas.
Yes.
And he was speaking about our rights being trampled upon and giving outsiders the opportunities over Grenadians. And while he's saying that he's in the diaspora, no?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think he said he's a retired person or
He's
something.
retired,
but
yeah.
I'm saying all of this to say, we must take time off to think of what we have to see, of what we want to see, or have the information, get the facts straight before we get on public radio, or we try to have a public debate on issues, right? We have Carriacou and we have the CSME. So we have the free movement of professionals and what have you. But if we have people qualified and trained here back home, and there is a position that is being offered, there is this advertisement for a job, vacancies available, then our people as well could apply.
Of course, they have the first preference, I believe.
Yeah, but another thing, Mr. Bola, is that, and Ms. Duncan, is that, okay, so we might know of certain areas where we might be lacking skills, where we might not have sufficiently trained people, right, and so on. And we expect, okay, and we see that investments are happening in those areas, whether it's in a particular sector or industry or what have you. And our people do little or nothing. I'm not saying that the government doesn't have a role to play in terms of facilitating training or granting people the opportunities and so on. But sometimes we do nothing, little or nothing about it. And then when an opportunity comes about, right, comes around, and we did not prepare ourselves for it, and we can't take advantage of it, then we turn around and we blame politicians and we blame somebody else, government and so on. We got to rise above that level. We got to move from that kind of mindset. You have to, if you want to become a whatever, I believe you have to play a greater effort more than anybody else, right? You may not be able to achieve everything all by yourself because you may not have the finances, or you may not have the, but so you need help. But the onus should be on you, on me, to go all out to see how I could mobilize the help, the assistance that I need to take me to where I want to get, So we have to train ourselves. We have to stop lamenting that kind of lamentation and that kind of blame game, and that doesn't help us.
Yeah.
We have been talking about that for years, and we come talking about the same thing again. And sometimes we give the impression that the government doesn't like our people, or they give, foreigners the preference over us, and all this kind of nonsense. And I know definitely that there are certain developments that are taking place here that our people don't have the capability, we don't have the equipment, we just don't have the know-how. Yes, I'm sure that the government would have loved to give our locals the opportunity, but are we prepared for the job? Come on, so what we should be focusing on is preparing ourselves for the job market, and so on. So we should pay more attention to that. In respect to the labor movement and the public workers union and the teachers union of teachers, and the behavior of the teachers and the public servants, or the public servants, especially the teachers, because they are teachers.
Especially some teachers, because there are some who are not part of the...
Hello?
I'd say especially some teachers.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And especially, yes, some, what Mr. Wally, yes, what is the to my mind, is the overwhelming majority.
May well be so,
yeah,
but there are still some that are understanding the situation and don't participate.
But you see, because when we're talking about sincerity and we're talking about honesty, I question whether we really mean that. Because if the facts were presented, right, to you by your counterparts, because when I say you or them, because it's public officers, public servants that would prepare the statement and make the information available to them, and maybe help them interpret it, or they could get their own people to help interpret it as well. And they are saying to you, this is the reality, of the situation, and you flying in the face of reality and say no, you're saying otherwise, and you continue your protest, and you say that the government, your protest is continuing because of government's disregard and disrespect and what have you. In fact, about 2-3 weeks ago, I heard, I think was the newly elected president of the Public Workers Union was saying that the struggle or the march is not just against the 4%, but for law and order. So I wondered, So what I see happening is that a lot of us, we feel, of course we live in a free society. A lot of us want to punch above or with, but that's okay, and so on. So if we're dealing with an issue, for example, in the case of the 4%, right? So you're dealing 4%, and just saying that, it's an agreement that was signed, was a mutual. Fine, nobody disputes that. So you're saying that to say what? But the country is not in a position at this point in time, as we said over and over, to pay the 4%, because it doesn't come from the thing, So the country is just not in a position to pay. But so we cannot understand that. So the protest is going to continue and to continue to affect our children, our loved ones, our children and grandchildren. Yeah. That is going to continue forever. I mean, come on. So these are the issues that we need to look at. If we're talking sincerity and truthfulness, let us be sincere and let's be truthful. The fact of the matter is the country cannot pay, as I said, at this point in time.
Yeah.
And they know that. Right? They know that fully well. So if they continue in the protest, that means they have ulterior objectives or motives or whatever the case might be, And I have known of some people would have jumped on bandwagon and hoping that they would be able to achieve the goal if they piggyback and they jump on any bandwagon and so on. And that did not happen in over many years, over past elections and so on. But we continue to, to be supporting what we should not support, what we should be helping those who do not understand to understand. Because if we're aspiring to lead this country, we should be honest and we should be sincere, because you cannot be accusing those who are in office now, holding office now, in position, of not being sincere, of not being genuine, and you yourself, you are not genuine, you are not sincere, and so on. So I am saying it's unfortunate that this struggle by the teachers is continuing, and I really do hope, I don't know when, but good sense and common sense will prevail, and they would decide to chill off.
We all hope. Yeah.
We don't know. We have hopes that may happen, but time will tell.
Yeah, okay.
Time will tell. And we thank you again for your contribution. Yeah, okay, as per usual, we appreciate that, and continue doing whatever little you can to help educate the people out there, because I think a lot of our people still doesn't understand exactly what is happening.
Yeah, well, so do you on this, Duncan, because I think, and I love the way you all dissect, issues, and for example, like the caller that was calling overseas.
Yes.
And just modeling up issues, just yapping here, yapping there, and so on. Come on, we need to, we need to be specific. You can't be in here, there, and everywhere, just like, come on.
Right.
You need to deal with issues and, and so on. So, okay, so have a good day.
You have a blessed one too, you and your family.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, we are getting there. Is there another caller or so that we can take quickly?
There is. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hi,
morning,
good
sir.
morning.
Yeah, Mr. Bola.
Good morning to you, sir.
You know who's talking?
Yes, sir, I do.
I like the topic this morning.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, well, we're trying to deal with the issues, trying to make sure that...
And I will good issues, sir.
Yes, that is what is happening. Yep.
But the problem is, why the union and them behaving in this manner?
Well, they say they want the money, that's all.
Yeah, but nobody else said they won't get the money.
Mm-hmm.
But the Prime Minister make it clear.
Yes.
He say he's going to pay.
He will pay.
But he needs some time
Definitely.
to pay.
Yep.
But they can't understand that.
Well, they want to pretend they don't have understanding because
like what they want to pretend.
They want to pretend that because they're saying, look, we understand the country and thing, but we want it. Yeah. Well, if the country don't have it, how you going to get it?
Right. And the next thing again, sir, I was around in the revolution.
Yes.
I know what it is to because I get jail.
Right.
I get jail in Gary time.
Yeah.
All this stupidity they're talking about Gary dictator and all, it's Bishop and them that was the dictator.
Yes.
Because Bishop knew
what was going on. He was wicked. That's why it has sin to say that, you know.
Well,
So
then don't say what go make you sin your soul.
What you see he dead? As I tell somebody Friday in tongue, the bishop should have ruling all now in this country. If he did do the right thing.
Okay.
But the problem is, he don't do the right thing. I know we going to do the right thing. That's why we in power now.
Yes.
And that's what they don't like, you know.
Yes, some people don't agree with it, so.
That's what the NDC don't like, so they trying all trick. But the trick they trying, tell them it don't working.
Okay.
Because the 15 coming up so hot on them, they won't even check on what's going on in life.
I hear you.
No, serious, Mr. Bola?
No, we hear you.
Are you real serious, you know?
Yes.
Why you remember the General Council we had in Trade Center?
Yes.
When he over, I was stand up there with some people in a crowd. And Miss Clarice Charles passed down.
Yes.
And when she see me there, she stand up and she say, you see, you this boy, you is a true NMP. She said that 3 times.
Yes.
And then people and them that day, they bend on their head. And you know what I turn and tell her? I say I don't fumble with what I like. I like what I like.
Good.
And I believe what I like.
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you there?
We're there. It is what it is, you know. We appreciate your call. We are happy that people are listening and sharing their own views.
Right. Yeah. And let me just remind you, remember what I did tell you?
I remember. As long as that works out, I'll get to you. I don't know what would happen yet, but when the time comes, we'll see.
Well, nobody here don't know we business.
Not at all.
No.
All right.
So, all the best and
take good care now. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.
There is a comment on the live video that reads, the funny thing is that people in Grenada just focus on the wrong set of things. Comparing this island to the United States during these COVID times, they don't want to come together until we can pass these rough times. All they want to do, is rebel. It is a rebellious spirit that is trying to come back, even in the kids and the young people. I would like to take another caller, Mr. Bola.
Yes,
but
I noticed.
we
are there.
The time.
If we give somebody 2 minutes probably to express themselves.
2 minutes.
There's just no more. No more time. Good morning, caller. You have just 2 minutes. We're sorry that we couldn't take you earlier, and so just shoot one time.
No problem.
Yes.
In the Caribbean Journal, this was just sent to me.
Yes.
It says, beginning May the 1st, travelers who are fully vaccinated will only be required to quarantine at their accommodation for up to 48 hours.
And that is relevant to Grenada?
Does that,
is that saying in Grenada that would happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for us wanting to come home, it says we will be required to quarantine. It says at their accommodation. The question that's been asked of me was, what does their means? Because a lot of people are thinking about staying at Airbnbs. Does their accommodation mean government approved or any private?
No, we don't know yet. I don't know if it was you or someone else called on Friday. To verify the same thing, because from the news release we got,
it was quite vague. It wasn't in detail.
It didn't detail whether you can home quarantine or go to any approved place, and we are trying to still ascertain that. And as soon as we have a word from the Ministry of Health, we're going to announce it. The issue about just 48 hours once you're coming and you can prove that you have had your vaccination, that is quite clear. But where can you quarantine?
Where?
That is not so clear, and we're trying to get that. And as soon as, so once you always listen to the program, and as soon as we have it, we'll announce it.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Bola, in closing, I just quickly want to say to the people, to the Grenadian public, at this point, we need a lot of prayer. We need a lot of prayers, Mr. Bola. We do. We need to come together as a people, and I think that is something that we're not looking at. We need to come together as a people and pray for the development of Grenada. We need to come together as a people and pray against a lot of the social ills that's happening in our country. We need to stand up with a unified voice against some of these things that are happening that we are just a little bit too silent about. And sometimes silence can translate to acceptance. And we don't want people to feel that, oh, well, man, it's just a little sexual assault, a little hush-hush matter. They go give him a couple years and then he come out. And we can't accept these things anymore. We cannot only want to be vocal when it benefits the individual. We have to look at these things holistically because our children are set to inherit our country. They are set to inherit our behaviors. They are set to inherit the repercussions of our actions. And we have to remember that as a people. What we show them is what they will grow up to do. That's what you call the social learning theory. A child learns what they are exposed to. So if we continue along this line where we feel like it is okay to be rebellious, where we think that it is okay to just be where it's okay to be controversial about everything, where everything has to be a fight and everything has to be a riot and everything has to end up at the picket line. We are setting ourselves up, and not just ourselves, we are setting our children up to inherit a very difficult country, and we do not want to do that.
Well said, Ms. Duncan. I don't know if I could say it any better. We need to be careful. We need to know what we do, watch where we're going, watch what we're saying, watch how we're acting, and stop using the scenario that we are the forebearers, we are the four children of a Julian Feather and who else who was quote unquote as warriors. They fought rebellion, so we have to continue. Let's stop using the scenario that a book was written about Grenada called The Isles of Conflict. We don't have to continue along those lines. There are much better, easier, sane ways that we can deal with our issues, we can deal with our differences. Dialogue. We are much more educated. We are much better off than before. There are different ways that we can now look at the picture that is before us and come up with solutions without having to fight each other, without having to become controversial, without having to demonstrate and destroy whatever little good that we have already achieved. But rather than, we should be trying to build on it to make this world, this country a better place for us, and of course a more improved place for those who would inherit it after us. We are very sorry for those who did not get through with their call. Some people are still persisting, but time is upon us and we really have to cut at this time. We are sorry that we could not accommodate you. We are happy for all those who got through. We said continue to listen, continue to call. You may get you or send us your thoughts on the live. We do read all of them. We are not able to broadcast all of them, but we take guidance from what some of you are saying. As we say always, you don't always have to agree with us. But if you have a comment that you believe is sensible and is worthwhile and can add value to what we're saying, because we are not the repository of information and all knowledge on this program. We are willing to share what we know. We are willing to learn what we don't. And so we want to give you an opportunity as well. So join us again. Tomorrow, God's willing, should be the post-cabinet briefing. But God's willing, on Wednesday, we'll be back to continue the discussion. Have a wonderful day now.
All right, guys, we've come to the end of our program for today. As we say here every day, in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you. We do not ever want to be talking about you. So please do enjoy the remainder of your day and try today, if you can, to get vaccinated. I believe they're on the bus terminus today, along with Radisson and of course, you can call the various health centers, and I believe St. Augustine as well. You can call and make an appointment to get vaccinated. Do your part in this fight against COVID-19. It was a pleasure speaking with you guys. Have a wonderful day and stay tuned for the National Report. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Public Service Commission removed as defendant in a case by a public officer seeking return of docked salary. We'll have details to these stories and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details to the news for Friday, April 23rd, 2021, I am Sherry Noel. The OECS Court of Appeal has upheld the removal of the Grenada Public Service Commission, PSC, as a defendant in a case that seeks to have salary docked by the government returned. The ruling was made in the case involving Donna Lusan, a teacher at the St. Joseph's Convent, St. George's. Lusan was among several public officers who failed to report for duty for an extended period during 2018, at the height of an industrial dispute with government over pension and gratuity. As an employer, government exercised its right to dock pay of employees who did not work, and Lusan opted to take the matter to court to recover her docked salary of approximately $500. The Court of Appeal found no merit in the grounds presented by Ms. Lusan's attorney, Justice Chambers, for the PSC to be made a part of that suit. Moving along, Grenada's Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, continues to lead in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. On Friday, Dr. Mitchell, Health and Social Security Minister Honorable Nicholas Teal, and Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Oliver Joseph received their second shot of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. As of Thursday, April 22nd, more than 11,000 persons received their first dose of the vaccine, while more than 900 received their second dose. Dr. Mitchell, who has been very vocal on the issue of vaccination, says if we really want to get back to business, having a certain percentage of the population vaccinated will help the country to return to some form of normalcy.
The fact is, I have not heard enough of our people in leadership speaking out on this issue. For example, the business community have the impact of this on business has been pretty devastating. And the business community's leadership understand that to get back to where they were and to enjoy the level of business activities, that they must encourage their people to vaccinate. So, and I have not heard enough of the leadership, and I said so only recently. Similarly, the trade union movement has a responsibility, a moral one and otherwise, to lead in that respect.
After receiving his second job, Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Teal made a call to business owners, union and church leaders to assist in educating the nation on the importance of vaccination, as at this point it is the main strategy for the country to have improved economic activity.
To request some of our leaders, trade unions, private sector, religious, to not just quietly take the vaccine as they have been, and then not saying anything about vaccinations, but to do like us and publicly declare that we have taken the vaccine. I don't think it is appropriate to sit or to appear to sit on the fence, but have done the necessary to protect yourselves and not communicate that clearly to your members that you, as a leader, you have gotten the vaccination. And I think that is the strongest message that you can send to any of your membership while still representing them. So I'm calling on our trade union leaders who have been vaccinated to publicly declare that they have been. Our religious leaders who have been vaccinated to publicly declare that they have been vaccinated. Our civil, our opposition who have been vaccinated to publicly declare that they have been, and let people know that they themselves have taken the steps to protect themselves, and that in so doing, those who follow them will hear that very loud statement from them.
Foreign Affairs, International Business and CARICOM Affairs Minister Honorable Oliver Joseph said he experienced very mild side effects following his first dose of the vaccine and encouraged Grenadians to get vaccinated.
To all the people out there, as the Prime Minister recalled, since we're small, we're getting vaccine. Now you have the opportunity to get the vaccine to ensure that we have control over the virus. And that's only how the economy will pick up. All of us want to see tourists coming. We want to see St. George's University reopen. We want to see business going back. We have our part to play, and all the government is saying that you have a part to play in this by taking the vaccine. That's all we're asking. You take the vaccine, the economy starts moving again, everyone benefits.
Member of the COVID-19 committee, Dr. Berth Braffett, who received his second shot on Thursday, also made the clarion call for people to take the process seriously.
Senior membership of these organizations, they know better, and in many instances they have taken the vaccines. And therefore, I am appealing to them to come forward and play a more forceful role in getting the country vaccinated. If we get 70-80% of the country vaccinated, we know we can get back, as Minister said, we can get back to business as usual. If we don't do that, we're going to stumble. And my prediction is that come later this year or next year, because this virus is, I keep saying that, the virus isn't going anywhere. And so if we don't get vaccinated, what we will find is other countries will get fully vaccinated or significantly vaccinated. We will get outbreaks. We will become the pariahs of the worldwide community. No one will want to travel here, etc. And our whole progress will be set back.
The Ministry of Health will host a national conversation on vaccination on Sunday, April 25th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Panelists include representatives from stakeholder groups such as the business community. The National Forum will be broadcast live on facebook.com/healthgrenada, as well as on GIS Channel 22, the GIS Facebook page, and YouTube channel. Effective May 1st, 2021, the entry requirement for fully vaccinated persons entering Grenada will be significantly reduced. This after Cabinet has agreed that persons entering the country will be required to quarantine for 48 hours once they can provide proof that they have been fully vaccinated, pending a negative result from a PCR test administered on entry at the MBIA. On Friday, Honorable Nicholas Steele, during an interview with the GIS, says that this decision has been taken in the best interest of all parties concerned.
Ministry of Health and COVID-19 Committee have recognized the benefits and protection given to individuals who have been fully vaccinated. And as such, Grenada is changing its entry protocols with respect to fully vaccinated persons. Individuals are still expected to follow the same procedures prior to coming to Grenada, up to their leaving the airport. So they still must have their 72-hour negative PCR test. But on arrival and verification of their vaccination certificate, individuals will be tested at the airport, and pending those results, which will be up to 48 hours, they will remain in quarantine. Once they receive a negative result, they will be released from quarantine. That, in essence, is the change in our entry protocols for fully vaccinated persons.
Travelers will still be required to provide a negative PCR test result valid up to 72 hours prior to the start of travel. An application for travel authorization must be completed prior to travel via the website travelauth.health.gov.gd. Additionally, the PCR test to be administered in Grenada must be paid for prior to this application. Payments are accepted online via the government's payment portal, pay.gov.gd. Persons are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after the second dose of a two-dose vaccine, such as the AstraZeneca, Pfizer, or Moderna, or 2 weeks after a single dose in the case of the Johnson and Johnson vaccine. Arriving passengers will not be permitted to leave quarantine until medical clearance is granted. Persons who are not fully vaccinated or unable to provide proof of their vaccination will be required to quarantine for up to 7 days, with a PCR test being administered on day 5. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
The COVID-19 vaccine continues to be available throughout our Tri-Island state, and it's free of cost. Protect yourself and your loved ones, and let's get back to life. Visit covid19.gov.gd for answers to your questions. Visit your nearest health center to access the vaccine. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Residents of Blair's and Upper St. John St. Andrew can now breathe a sigh of relief as their quality of life has been improved. The Government of Grenada, in collaboration with the National Water and Sewage Authority, NAWASA, and the Japanese embassy for the OECS commissioned the Carriacou Blaze pumping project this week to ensure a continuous source of potable water for the residents. For years, the communities of Blaze and Upper St. John have relied on neighboring villages and Nawassa's water truck service. Parliamentary representative for the St. Andrew Northeast constituency, Honorable Kate Lewis, said the completion of the pumping project is a testament to the government's commitment to improve the quality of life of Grenadians. She said in addition to the provision of potable water, the government has paid the connection fee for a number of residents.
As a government, we continue with our mandate to improve the quality of lives of our people. And therefore, we have ensured that all residents of this community who have applied for and met the criteria for this assistance, that we paid their water connection fees, most of whom who are already connected. It is very important that we ensure that every family, every home in these communities have access to water to meet their daily needs.
General Manager of Nawassa, Christopher Husband, said finding a solution to the lack of water in the communities began in 2015, with Phase 1 of the project, which included the introduction of rainwater harvesting systems. However, it was a temporary fix to the problem. With over $200,000 in funding from the government of Japan, the $1 million pumping system was established.
We knew we had a solution. What did we do? We installed a pump station down at our carrier tank, and we basically force main from the carrier tank up to the blaze tank so that we have a backup depending on the rainfall pattern. The largest constraint facing this project was, of course, financing. And with the kind support of the government of Japan under the Japan Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Projects, GGP, that was operating through the Embassy of Japan, we secured $238,000, which we added to the $7,000 that Nawassa had committed, and that is how we were able to complete this $1 million investment today.
The residents could not resist the opportunity to heap praises on the governments of Grenada and Japan and Nawassa.
I suffered for such a long time. For the time I'm growing up in Blaze, I'm going for water in the back of St. Philip, I'm falling, I have to go back, creep on my bottom with the bucket of water. I see a lot of trouble, so I'm very, very glad, especially for Miss Louise. I know she tried very, very hard with us to get the water.
Over the past decade, our community faced many water challenges, from having no water in the standpipes, periodically to depend on our water truck whenever they served. It brings me great joy and happiness to commemorate the start of a new water journey and the end of a water crisis here in our beloved community, Upper St. John's and Blaze.
And now for a recap of the top story. Public Service Commission removed as defendant in a case by a public officer seeking return of docked salary. And with this, we come to the end of the National Report for Friday, April 23rd, 2021. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Sharia Noel, thanking you for viewing.